All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us. And we're going to continue more of this conversation here in a little bit. We always love taking your calls, of course, at 257-5396. But we want to switch topics a little bit. As you know, we do talk a little UNLV hoops now and again. And it is Wednesday, and that means it is time for our hoops guru, Jamieson Welsh from Drive Time Sports. Jamieson, thanks so much for coming on. How are you?
I'm doing well. Busy times right now. NBA playoffs about to start.
Yes.
Final Fours here. And then we have a lot of workouts and camps out this way. For those that don't know, a lot of college players, a lot of high school players are working out here right now. AAU is picking up. So it's a very, very busy time right now.
Yes, it is. And it's also a busy time for UNLV basketball. What did you make, by the way, of TJ Otzelberger flying in on a helicopter? What did you make of that whole situation?
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. You know, do something different, have some buzz and some energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the program hasn't had a lot of buzz and energy since they had the downtown event for like their Midnight Madness a few years back. That was the last time we had some buzz and excitement around the program.
Good point. Good point. I certainly don't disagree with that. So give me the rundown here. Players that have left or leaving and players that are coming in. What can you tell us about the program right now and as far as players are concerned?
So here's the thing. Everyone's in flux. Like, no one really knows what's going on. Like, even the coach himself is in a situation where he's waiting on everyone to make their own call. Like, no one really knows who's leaning one way or another. I'm assuming that everyone that is at UNLV that is into the portal is going to stay in the portal. That's what I always assume, because very rarely do you come back and play for a guy you really don't know. More than likely, you take your chances elsewhere. So I'll be very excited, interesting to see what will happen. But also, here's the thing. The coach has some opportunities to get some guys around the city and also around the West Coast if he really wants to recruit hard enough, because there's a lot of guys that are still available that can make a difference as early as next season if he wants to go that route. So it's interesting to see what happens, but it's going to be a tough road ahead because most of the guys, they're attached to Menzies and his staff. Whenever you have a new coach, that coach doesn't have any real feeling or attachment towards you. So it's very different to try to stick out a year, especially if you're like your sophomore, junior year, when you can go elsewhere, get underneath their program for a year, and flourish in that next year you play, and you may be ready to take the next step to the league or wherever else you may go.
Now, from what I've heard, Shakur Houston, by the way, was the only person not at the introductory press conference. So to me, that was very telling. I don't think Houston comes back. Also, I heard that Natabwe took a visit over the weekend to UConn. Do you think these guys have any chance of playing here next year? And what do you think of Amari Hardy? Does he come back?
Houston, no way. I think Hardy at best is 50-50. I think he's probably the best shot of coming back. And Tom Way is probably gone. There's a lot of interest around for him around the country. He's a guy with a lot of talent. He's young. He's a guy I can definitely see going elsewhere, going to a bigger program. And even if he sit out a year, he will go to a different program and play and develop there. I just don't see him. I don't know. I mean, I would love for him to stay because I think he has a lot of talent, a lot of upside. But I see him as a guy going to a bigger program.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that one. See, here's the thing. You know, you saw the contract, right? $1.1 million over 5 years, and it continues to rise and go up. He's going to be the highest paid coach in the Mountain West Conference. This cannot be year one Marvin Menzies, right? This guy is getting paid a lot of money, and he's coming in here. He has enough time to recruit, so there shouldn't be any excuses, and I understand that he's probably not going to have a lot of guys coming back. I get that. But this is how he earns his money, right? He needs to come in here in year one and improve this program. This cannot be rebuild. I don't want to hear that word. You're paying him a lot of money. He needs to come in here and win games. And I'm not saying come in here immediately in year one and be a top 25 program. Not even saying win the Mountain West Conference. Not what I'm saying. But I'm saying you got to compete, man. You got to compete. You got to win basketball games. You better have a good out-of-conference schedule. The strength of schedule is very, very important. And you got to win. And winning in year one, success to me is competing for the Mountain West Conference Championship. Doesn't mean you have to win, but compete. Be top three, top four in the conference. I think he needs to do that year one.
So here's the thing. I don't really look at the money per se as like the expectations part. I think of it like, hell, he has enough time. He has enough time to actually make this work. The money part is what it is, whether he's making $500,000 or 1.1. That is what it is.
Right.
But he has time to get things done. And also, he has enough talent here. I'll give you a perfect example. Finley Prep has a guard named Taryn Todd who has offers from like half the SEC and a few schools in the Big 12, and UNLV hasn't really offered him anything.
Yeah.
He's eligible to play next year.
Yeah.
What are they waiting on?
Right.
TCU may lose Jamie Dixon, who may go to UCLA. P.J. Fuller is a guy that is a TCU commit. If Jamie Dixon goes to UCLA, P.J. Fuller may look for a different option.
Right.
Those are two guys in your own backyard that are 20 minutes away. You need to be kicking tires on and seeing what's going on. And from my knowledge, I haven't heard that he's been doing that. So that's kind of a strange situation thus far.
Yeah. So we went on the air on Monday. And as you know, I like to have a little fun. And I get an email from UNLV. It is a press release. And it says, for the first 200 people that either renew or sign up for new season tickets to UNLV basketball, you get a signed mini TJ Otzelberger basketball. I said to myself, number one, who is in charge of promotions? Who in their right mind is living in Las Vegas and says, hey, honey, we got to get season tickets to UNLV basketball. Oh, really? Why is that? Oh, because I've been waiting for years to get my hands on a TJ Otzelberger signed basketball. To me, it is just utterly ridiculous. Who, and I've talked to a lot of fans about this. People call into the show all the time. To me, it just doesn't make any sense. There's better promotions you can do than that, right? What's next? I mean, JD said Monday, you're going to get a Francois signed calendar. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. It should be, 16 and under. Should be able to go to games for free with a paid adult. Do something to get more people in the stands. A TJ Otzelberger basketball, in my opinion, is going to do absolutely nothing except give me material to talk about on the show. Do you agree with that?
I do agree. It's very tone deaf on the program. However, here's the situation. For the kind of history UNLV has, they don't celebrate it enough as they should. There are certain programs that celebrate a lot less or celebrate more, and they've accomplished a whole lot less than UNLV has in their history. Even some of the Final Four teams UNLV has had, they haven't been able to celebrate them. 30th anniversary, 25th anniversary, whatever it may have been, they haven't done that. It's kind of weird to me because you have a big, long history, and you have most of the guys are still alive. So I don't understand what the issue is, because there are certain things you want to be able to promote. This upcoming season, you're going to have the 2019-2020 will be the 30th year anniversary of the team that won it all in 1990. I hope they have something lined up for that. I really do, because it would be a shame if they did not.
I agree. Just joining us, Jamieson Welsh, Drive Time Sports, our hoops guru here on the Vegas Take. We're talking a little UNLV hoops, a little UNLV basketball, and everything that has transpired over the last few weeks with new hire, the head coach, TJ Otzelberger. So, Jamieson, we had Lon Kruger on, former UNLV coach, last week, or actually I should say Monday. Monday we had him on. What am I talking about? And I'm getting old, Jamieson, and I'm very forgetful in my old age. But we had Kruger on, and I asked Lon Kruger the question, how big of a part were you in this hire? Because it was Francois that brought his name up, and she said he was a part of the process. I asked Lon Kruger the question on Monday, and his response to me was, well, they called me very late in the process, and we only had one conversation. And it sounded to me, based on his answer, that he was not a big part or hardly a part of the process at all. And it sounded to me they were just using his name. I mean, what do you make of that whole thing? I mean, Kruger is one of the most classiest, honest guys on the planet, certainly in the business of basketball. And he basically made it out to be that he was not a big process in this, and they gave him just one phone call.
Well, I don't really see the need for him to have to be a part of the process, because he's not really involved with the school. I mean, he was the last really good coach the school's had, but he's not currently employed by the school, and he's not really involved in their decision-making. So it doesn't really make a whole lot of difference for me. My whole thing is this. What was the process? Like, can someone explain what exactly the process was? Who are they trying to get? Who are they trying to go after? Who turned them down?
Well, let me give you the answer. So my interview with Francois, she wouldn't answer like half my questions. I said, why wouldn't you give an interview, not even hire, but give an interview to Eric Musselman or a Mike Miller? She said she wasn't going to talk about, specific names. She wouldn't answer the question. I said, was it true that players came to you in support of Mike Miller? She wouldn't answer. Here's what she told me. She said that she had a list written down personally herself, and she gave that list to Fogler, the guy who they hired in charge of the firm of hiring a coach. So that was it. She wouldn't tell me who was on that list. Here's what I suspect. I suspect that list consisted of just a bunch of young and up-and-coming coaches. Many young and up-and-coming guys. She doesn't seem like the type of person that wanted to hire somebody with a wealth of experience, a guy like a Larry Eustachy or a Bo Ryan or an Eric Musselman. And from what I've heard, Eric Musselman wanted the job here. He would have taken the job. And it's frustrating to me, and I think to a lot of UNLV fans, that she didn't even give a guy like an Eric Musselman an interview. And I understand that there's regents involved, and they probably would have blocked the deal. I get all that. But give the guy an interview, for Christ's sake. Interview a guy like a Larry Eustace or a Bo Ryan. Interview a guy like a Mike Miller. What does it hurt? And she didn't do that. And that, to me, I don't know. I just think it speaks volumes about, the type of coach she wanted, and it wasn't one of those guys.
Right, and that's the thing. It was kind of alarming. Again, we don't know who the other candidates were. Like, that's the thing. Usually, there's a job that's out. Like, for instance, the Arkansas job's out right now.
Right.
We've heard Kelvin Sampson, Musselman. We've heard all these big names that are attached to the job, whether they're getting extensions or not, whether they're getting hired or not. We hear a lot of names, people interviewing for it, people interested for it, et cetera, et cetera. We didn't hear anything with this job. We didn't hear anything. We heard Pacino for like 6 months, and then we've heard people Mike Miller's interested, but they didn't interview him. But we didn't hear anyone really interview for the job, which was very, very odd for a job that a lot of young coaches like, a lot of people do like. However, it was handled very poorly. But we will see. I do have some faith in Otzelberger. I do think he has a style and a philosophy that can work if you have the right players. If you have a bunch of guys that can shoot the three, and that's what you're going to do, it can work. But at the same time, man, you can't. I'll put it this way. I think they left something on the table with this hire. I think he's a pretty good hire. I think he'll probably end up working out. But I think they could have got someone better.
So you think it's a pretty good hire? I hope you're right, but here's why I disagree. To me, this UNLV job, this go-around, after hiring Dave Rice, who had never been a head coach before, after hiring Marvin Menzies in the horrible whack, I thought that at this time you want to hire someone that is won at a higher level than the Summit League. And I'm not saying it's not going to work out for Otzelberger. All I'm saying is where the program is at immediately, besides winning, you want to excite the fan base and you want to get people in the stands. I do not believe this is the right guy to do that immediately. Now, hopefully he wins. And if he wins, the fans will come into the building. I have no doubt about that. But if you wanted to get someone immediately in the building and create some buzz, a guy like a Mike Miller, to me, would have been the right guy for this job.
So here's the situation, Brian. You always want to hire a coach that's trending in the right direction. Otzelberger was at least trending in the right direction. Marvin Menzies wasn't. Dave Rice was kind of idle in the middle. So that's why I said the hire is actually a pretty good hire. His career is progressing. It's not to the point where it's going the opposite direction. It's not trending downward. It's actually going up. And it's probably, if things work out here, this won't be his last stop. Mm-hmm. So you got a guy that's going to be motivated to coach really well. He's going to be motivated to recruit and implement a system and to win games. He's not just going to be here because it's a dream job, or he's not going to be here because the money is really good. He's actually going to be here because he wants to be here and he wants to coach and, progress his career. So I think, we got a good guy. I just think that there's other candidates available that could have done a much better job, or got much better players, I should say, up front.
What do you think is going to happen first? I put this up on Twitter because I think it's do you think, Otzelberger beats a top 25 team, or Sanchez makes it to a bowl game? What happens first?
I think a bowl game happens this year. So, if they don't be a top 25 team by, November or December,
right,
3rd, then I think that's going to be the case. But also, I don't know what the schedule's looking like this year. No one really talks about the non-conference schedule or anything of that nature.
Mm-hmm. That's true. What do you think? I asked him that question. I asked Otzelberger at the press conference, and, he said he wanted to play quality opponents. He said that he wanted to play teams that would put people in the seats. And I hope he's being truthful. I hope he's honest, because we all know Marvin Menzies from not to go back to Menzies, but his out-of-conference strength of schedule was a joke.
Yeah, the one year they played Kansas, outside of that, and of course they played Duke, and that was a game that he didn't really schedule. But
right, Rice did that one.
Yeah, it's a situation where it was very, very underwhelming, and you have a program that's a national known program. So you can play nationally games. You can play big school games. So we'll see what happens. But also, I'm interested to see what the team he provides. I really want to see the team he puts out there and what kind of style they play, because here's the thing. Coaches are coaches. If you got some talent, they can make things work. If he has certain guys that fit his system, no matter who stays or who goes, I want to see what he can do with it. I'm really curious to see what he can do, because I've heard good things about him. I've heard good things from different coaches and different people around the country. So I want to see what he can really do and what he's really about, and go from there. I don't think he'll be as bad as Menzies' first year. I don't think so. I think he'll be a lot better than that. However, I wouldn't have top 3 in the conference because the conference always surprises us one way or another in terms of teams out of nowhere. Like, put it this way, we didn't think Fresno State would be this good in year one of this era. We didn't think that.
Well,
no one thought Utah State would be this good.
No,
this past year.
Definitely not.
You know?
I'm not surprised though that Hudson had such a successful year because even when he was an assistant coach here, I said, "Man, this guy's." We both said this. This guy's going to be a great head coach someday.
Definitely.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Again, Jamieson Welsh from Drive Time Sports joining us. Well, we're up against the clock here. We're really not going to have a lot of time to talk a little NBA, but we certainly will next week. Of course, the NBA playoffs are right around the corner. Quickly, before I let you go, Jamieson, what do you think about LeBron James making the decision, the organization making the decision of not playing him the remainder of the season?
It should have been done a month ago because you cannot risk anything catastrophic happening. If something catastrophic happened where he tore an Achilles or he tore an ACL or something really bad happened, now this season was a wash. Now next season's a wash, and he's a year older on top. It would have been a complete disaster. But they're lucky to get out of this season the way they did. Regroup over the summer, rebuild, and get it right for next year. So I don't mind it at all. Let him get his rest, let his body get right, let his mental get right, and let's see what happens in the summer because this is a make-or-break summer for everyone involved, including LeBron.
Quickly here, I got about 30 seconds. Who's going to be the next coach of the LA Lakers?
Juwan Howard.
Juwan Howard is going to be the next Lakers coach? Really? That's solid?
For the Miami, a longtime assistant for the Miami Heat. He's close friends with LeBron. He's good with LeBron, ex-player. Also, him and Rob Pelinka, who's the Lakers GM, played college basketball together.
All right. I like it, man. I like it. Jamieson, I always appreciate the good work, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to talk a lot of NBA next week. Thanks for coming on.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me.
All right. There you go. Thank you. Jamieson Welsh, one of the best in the business with Drive Time Sports, our hoops guru on the Vegas Take. Thank you all for the phone calls. I promise you we will continue the conversation tomorrow. We got Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports going to be joining us. We'll talk a little Vegas Golden Knights. And, of course, my good friend Donald Trump. We'll get to that coming up. Ken Thompson coming up next, everybody. Have a great night. We will see you all tomorrow.
And the program kind of being stale and stagnant is what's hurting. It's one thing to be in year 3 and not going to but they're not a whole lot last year than they were this year. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not a whole lot of progression and growth amongst the program. They're kind of stuck in the mud. And I said, I don't know who the answer is. I don't know who the magic hire is. I don't. But with that being said, I know Menzies isn't the guy for this job for what's needed right now.
Yes, I could.
Not that guy. They need a younger guy, more energetic guy. Because right now, the program doesn't have any energy. It doesn't have any buzz.
No, I mean, when you just look at the stands and how many people are there, I mean, I don't know how many people are going to be there this weekend for Boise State, but I got to tell you, man, the crowds are just absolutely pathetic. And if Francois thinks the answer is another year with this guy, I just disagree. I agree with you, Jamieson. He's not the right guy for this job. Maybe he could be a success somewhere else, and if he went back to the WAC or another conference like that, he's just the wrong guy for the job. Okay, I want to move on to the NBA. I want to talk to you, Jamieson, a little bit about this LeBron story. So a few days ago, they're playing the Golden State Warriors, and once in a while, LeBron James decides to take a night off. A little precarious considering that they're probably not going to make the playoffs. But even with that being said, you'd think he'd want to play games down the stretch. He doesn't play in this game, and then he's seen that night on social media in some sort of recording studio, sucking back alcohol. And drinking and recording a song the night that his Lakers are getting blasted by the Golden State Warriors. I mean, I don't know. What do you make of this story?
The story's kind of mixed up. You have it kind of mixed up. So it was the night before. It was like 3 weeks ago. It was the night before a game. What happened was they were playing the Golden State Warriors on Saturday night. He was a late scratch. The taping was on Friday night. So he was listening to 2 Chainz' album. He was supposed to be the A&R on it, but basically he was just there listening to it with his friend. And that's what it was. He was a late scratch. He just came back from injury. At the same time, the night before, he played 40-plus minutes in a game after missing 17. So, personally, I didn't miss it. I didn't mind him missing that game because, again, he was year 16, coming off an injury he's never had before, and he just played 40-plus minutes the night before. I didn't mind missing the game. The details around it aren't good, but I personally don't mind him missing that particular game. I really didn't. I actually thought they were going to bring him back slowly, but the game before they had to play, I believe it was the Clippers, and that game went to overtime. So I don't mind him missing the game, but just the details around it make it look bad.
Yeah, it just doesn't look good. What do you? I mean, and then Shaquille O'Neal made a comment in regards to the fact that he's been traded 6 times in his career, and he never cried. I mean, referencing to LeBron James' teammates, considering the fact that they're saying things here and there and complaining and crying that there's a chance that they could be traded. What do you make of those comments by Shaq?
Well, it's a different situation. I mean, Shaq's trades have been different. They've all had different circumstances around them. But it is a business, though. These guys have to realize it's a business. These guys are young guys, but this is the first time they've gone through that. It's not like a situation where these are all veteran guys. They know how to deal with that. They know how to put that to the side. These all guys are like 21, 22, 23 years old. If it's your first time going through it, you have other life issues, it's going to wear on you. It does happen, but at the end of the day, it is a business. Once you sign that contract, you are an employee, and you just have to figure it out, make it work. And Ingram has been much better. Ingram has actually played at an all-star caliber since the deadline and a little bit before. Kuzma's played well also. Their biggest issue is the veterans they have on the bench have been subpar at best, and lack of depth has been their issue.
Yeah.
But they'll be right there at the end for the playoff spot. I don't think they'll get it, but they'll be in the hunt the last week of the season for it.
How about the other night? Apparently, the Lakers team bus, left without Luke Walton, and they had to come back and go get him.
That's false. So,
is that false? Okay, so what happened?
Yeah, it's false. So what happened is this: for everyone who covers the NBA, there's 2 buses for each team. Each team has 2 buses. Luke missed the first bus. He was on the second bus. That's all it was.
So no bus came back.
Left.
Is this just the LA media just wanting this guy out the door?
No. So here's the thing: the Lakers run the league in terms of news. Anything Laker related gets escalated to the highest board. That's just how it is. That's why ESPN leads off with their news every day, because people are going to tune in, especially if they're doing bad. It's one thing if they're doing great, but if they're doing bad, people want to hear what's going on. That's just how it is, especially in this era where news travels so quickly. You need as many clicks as possible. There is no way to gain more clicks than a coach being left that's already on the hot seat on the bus. There's no other way to gain clicks than that. But the real story came out the next day, he was on the second bus.
Look,
nothing more, nothing less.
If that was so easy to get a coach out of town, then certainly some fans would have made up that story on social media about the UNLV team bus leaving without Marvin Menzies, right?
So here's the thing. The problem with that is this. If people really want to get Menzies out of town, you have to put the money up. If they really want him gone, you got to pay the buyout. Got to pay the buyout for him and his fans. If that's what you really
not going to happen.
Deep down inside, someone has to step up and take care of the buyout.
Not going to happen. Yeah. Most of the fans won't even put up $20 or $30 to catch a game. There's a lot of these boosters are certainly not going to put up that kind of money. Go ahead, JD, quickly, because we got to get out of here.
Jamieson, is Lonzo Ball out for the season?
We'll find out Friday. He's going to reevaluate Friday by the medical staff, see where he's progressing, because this is the 6th week coming up. If he's ready to go, he'll be playing shortly. If not, then we'll see. But right now, it's 50-50.
And if he doesn't come back, do they make the playoffs? I think they don't.
No, he's the only guy that takes defense seriously on every possession basis, and you got to have guys like that. We know his offensive game, what it is, limitations at this time,
right?
But defensively, he's key. The team is built around him defensively.
Jamieson, I always appreciate it when you come on the show, my man. Have fun over there at Finley Prep, and we will catch up with you next week. Thanks for coming on.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, you got it. That's Jamieson Welsh from Drive Time Sports, our hoops guru on the Vegas Take. Always appreciate it when he takes the time to join us. Man, he does such a good job. That was like a rapid fire, man. A lot of calls there with Jamieson. We appreciate that. And
it's like the Vegas Take version of Pardon the Interruption.
There you go. I like it. Appreciate all the phone calls, even the ones that disagree with me when it comes to Michael Cohen and Donald Trump. We will continue that conversation tomorrow. I promise you we will continue that conversation in regards to Michael Cohen, in regards to this whole situation with Donald Trump, and we will continue to be as interactive as we can and take as many of your calls as we can, as we did today. Tomorrow on the program, Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports. We will get an update on this Kraft situation. The what would you call it? The orchid massage gate? I don't even know what the Kraft gate. I don't know. Anyway, the happy ending gate. Name it as you will.
I call it the handy gate.
Yeah, handy gate. Okay, I like that too. We'll give you an update on that. Thanks for joining us, everybody. The master himself, Ken Thompson, will be joining us next. Thanks for joining us, everybody. The Vegas Take. Check us out on Twitter at The Vegas Take. Have a good night.
Kilmeade, Hannity, Levin. 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDWN Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.